You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey. And behind every page, there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
And it must be Monday. We got Rockin' Robbie in the house. And you don't get cell service at your house?
I'm on the phone.
And John wandered in. I was not expecting him back. I'm pretty sure he told me 2 weeks.
I'm on the phone with one of our incredible cosplayers, by the way.
Anyway, I think he said he was going to be back in 2 weeks, and he wanders in the door. I got to scream, Amy, hide the books. Okay, it was just, it was really, you got to give us some sort of warning. I'm going to start locking the front door. Anybody can just wander in here. It's horrible. So yeah, Josh went, Adrian, John, Spilio's in the house, buddy. Station everyone, go Bucks.
Wow, we do see everybody.
Hopefully Tom Brady doesn't go to Miami. All my Facebook friends on April 1st.
I want Tom Brady to go whichever team makes everyone else the most unhappy. I love that people hate Tom Brady. He's like my favorite player.
You know what? Actually, Robbie, I think we were talking about this Friday.
Yeah, a little bit.
I started to like Tom Brady. He was with the Evil Empire, the Patriots, for years and years.
Evil Empire.
And then
every
he became,
good show needs heels.
Well, but then he became the old guy, and I've come to this theory where you just got to root for the old guy. I remember when Jamie Moyer a few years ago was still pitching for the Phils, and he was in his 40s. So you got to root for the old guy, right? You get to a certain age.
Lucky you make it out to the mound.
So, but then Brady ruined it.
Why?
Okay, because the rumor now was he. So John's here. Oh, John has already anticipated what I was going to say. By the way, Arian's left on his own. I don't believe he pushed Arian down.
Pushed out.
I'm just saying, it seems awfully suspicious. Okay, the man retires. 45 days later, he comes back. A few days after that, Bruce Arians announces he's moving to the front office. If that's not the seeds of a conspiracy theory, I don't know what is. Okay, I'm just going to be straight up. Okay.
Oh my God.
So John Spilio's already making excuses for the move, okay? Anticipating what I was going to say before I even said it. Threw it up in the chats. No, Arians was not forced out. Oh, my gosh. Oh, man.
He knew, man. You're becoming predictable to Spilio, man.
What's that?
You're becoming predictable to Spilio. You got to switch that up. You got to change it up.
I don't think it's just me, bro. I think that he expects – So right now you can map out all the Tom Brady fans and all Tom Brady haters, right? The entire country, Tom Brady haters, and you can circle, okay? You can circle Tampa Bay.
And right here in South Jersey.
Where?
Me. I love that guy. You know what? I met somebody else who loves that guy like I do. Guy down in Atlantic City who works in a pizza joint down there. He's like, I love to hate this guy. He's like my Roddy Piper. I hate this dude, but I love him. I don't ever want him to retire because I won't care to root against somebody.
Tell him, don't worry. There'll be somebody else that will appear in the NFL.
That's what I said. There's always someone that you'll hate. He'll be a dirty player or he'll be super good. This
is true. So Marcus in the house, Stevie B, what's going on, guys? And Kyle with the never root for anyone who went to that school up north. Yeah, so I have to say he kind of ruined it for me. But again, Arians was getting older. I know he was battling some health issues as well. But still, I got to tell you,
that was like
awfully funny.
The legit story I heard. I heard that guy was not.
Yeah, but right before the season ended, he said he'd be coached until he dropped dead. Okay. So
I just know I've hated Tom Brady longer than almost anybody.
that shows you how long he's been playing in the
You
league.
think it's going to be like a Tom Brady farewell tour?
Yes.
Like he'll play for a
Yes.
different team every year?
No.
I'm done on that.
No,
I'm done
he's
with
going to play
that.
for the Bucs. He's going to get his farewell tour, okay? And his wife is going to make him retire after this. I can only imagine the conversation they had after he decided after 45 days he's not retiring.
His wife, he was home with his kids for 6 weeks, and he said, I'm back, everybody. That is a man that does not want to stay home.
Hey, Joel, what's going on, buddy? And John Spilios, I used to hate Brady till he went to the Bucs. Well, of course, okay? That's not a surprise to anyone.
As a man who used work to duck out of family stuff for decades, I'm telling you, he spent time with his wife and kids. Gas went to $11 a gallon.
What's
he had
he
to go
going to
back
say?
to work.
But seriously, I mean, what can he even say to Giselle Bundchen? Okay. Oh, we need the money? I mean, come on.
You think they speak directly or through lawyers?
I don't know.
I can't believe that they speak directly.
I have no idea.
I'm sorry.
So, all right, we're going to get things kicked off as we always do with the Dynamite 10-pack. 10 random Dynamite titles with a cover price of $3.99 or higher, so a suggested retail of $40 or higher. And as always, a thank you to our fans. We have it for $5.50 a copy. So
I'm so glad you started with this. I missed this last week. I was wandering the streets of Myrtle Beach just giving people free Dynamite comics. And it was
watching the show?
A homeless guy.
I just assume you'd be sitting in a hotel room somewhere watching the show. You telling me you weren't? I'm shocked. Mikey G in the house, what's going on? Joel says, as a Finn fan, I don't want him in Miami. Until he shows up in Miami.
Until he shows up.
Listen, I at this point, I'm no Tom Brady fan, but if he showed up in Philadelphia, I would not be upset.
You know, he's
not even a little bit.
But when he wins more games by Thanksgiving than they did all last year, it'll be a different story.
Yeah, it's not like Miami fans can be super picky either. But yeah, I mean, you got to call the skills what they are. But yeah, that was kind of pretty messed up, and I totally believe that. There were rumors throughout his time there. There was like friction between him and Arians. I don't know, man. Smells awfully funky over there.
I mean, it's just the optics of it. It leads itself to conspiracy, regardless.
Yeah, I agree with that. The optics are bad. That's time for the tinfoil hats to go on that.
So poor Stevie B, the Jets fan. You always want to give them a hug. It's just been so bad for so long. I mean, what can you do? But all right, you know what?
Those fans are like whatchamacallit? What do they
what?
call that syndrome? Like when the kidnapper begins to identify.
Oh, Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. Like they can't quit the Jets, but there's never anything for the. You know what I mean? It's terrible.
Let's see. 62 lefty in the house. What's up, buddy? Yeah, I used to be able to get Jets tickets real cheap, obviously. And, yeah, everybody can get Jets.
Yeah, Dollar General they sell them now.
Yeah, pretty much. So I would go to a few games. I take my dad because he was living in New York at the time, and just to get out. And I got to tell you, man, first of all, by time halftime was over, the half stadium was gone, and those that were booing relentlessly at the Jets were the Jets fans. It was
well, they paid to do that.
I
don't want people doing that for free. If I pay for good parking, I want the good parking.
Oh my Lord, man!
They can boo from the cheap seats, but I want to be.
They were relentless.
It's like the beginning of Major League when they first start playing and everybody's out there and they're just booing them. They're just there to hate their team because they suck so much.
Well, yeah. I remember that the year that I went, it was Bubby Brister, I think, was the quarterback.
No!
And he was brutally bad when he was with the Steelers, let alone with the Jets. It was just bad. I mean, first quarter, oh my God, first set of downs, and they were booing.
Somebody said a Jets quarterback tryout was going to be Colin Kaepernick, Tim Tebow, and there's another like made up quarterback that they picked, and I was like,
oh my Lord,
oh my God, could you imagine that?
I can't.
Tebow was like 40. I don't understand how that guy keeps getting tryouts. Isn't he 40? He's a game show host, and
so Kyle's taking some shots. Well, Kyle, I don't know if you're a Browns fan, but you guys ain't exactly looking too sharp right now yourself.
I've been a Packers fan since the late 90s. I was a Gilbert Brown.
I bet a
and
lot
Reggie,
of, I bet a lot of Browns
Gilbert
fans
Brown.
say that now, especially.
No,
yeah, I've been a Packers
I,
fan since the late 80s.
I was a Gilbert Brown and Reggie White fan, so I became a Packers fan.
Nice.
And then there were a
Well,
bunch of
since Reggie
years
White
where,
will always be known as an Eagle.
well, that's the thing. Had he been with the Eagles, I would have been an Eagles fan. Like, it was literally the guy. And then I hated everything for about 2 decades with the Packers until they got this new head coach who I like and think they should fire everyone else, including Aaron Rodgers.
Start picking stuff out of boxes.
Wait, how is that any different from any other Monday and Wednesday? Picking stuff out of boxes. That's what you do when you get here. From the moment you arrive to the moment you leave. Oh, what's this? Oh, I've been asking for this for a year. Are you kidding me?
You know what? I'm going to talk about this more on Twitter, but the truth of the matter is sometimes publishers get a bad rap that fans want something and they don't give it to them. I have legitimately asked Nick, not specifically, but told Nick I would love to see these books. And little by little, those books see the light of day. And when I say me, I mean fans, not like I text Nick, hey, do this book and it gets done. I mean, fans want to see certain things. All the Vampirella, all the Red Sonja.
For clarification, he doesn't just text Nick and it gets done. He texts Nick repeatedly over a very short span of time, and eventually it does get done. Okay. Well, hey, listen, I give John all the credit in the world. I have faith. Okay. He just hasn't turned his annoying to super annoying.
But the truth, though, is my point of the story is
the truth is he really does text Nick directly.
I do take your story, but the point of the story is this, though. It doesn't matter if it's Dynamite or Nick or whoever.
Perseverance wins.
Well, yeah. If you like a character, if you like a property,
I was kidding.
No, it's the truth, though. If people like, oh, they don't do the books I like, they don't do this. Try to get, publishers want to make money. This is a business, right? So if there's a market for it, they'll do it. And I think,
and for the publishers and creators out there, this is my PSA to the point. If you see John coming, lock the door, turn off the lights, hide behind furniture, and hope that they go away. Because it is Pandora's box, and when you open it, you can't get Pandora back in the box.
Poor Dave Avalone, he has 2 accounts. I said to him, I'll just find you on the other one. And he's like, well, I'll block that one too. I said, I also have 2 accounts, one for Dynamite Green.
And I'll make a new one.
Dave Avalone looked like $1 million at WonderCon. He posted some photos. He had the suit, the swill, and the scotch.
Oh, nice. That
guy lives like a het cat in the 60s, and I love that, man. He's
all right. So let's get through the best offer, so we give everybody enough time. All right.
Absolutely.
So we have Batman Fortnite 0.1 CGC graded 9.8, suggested retail of $89.99. It is one of our best offer books at $25.
Man, that is a cool cover.
So Robbie had an interesting topic on Friday, I think. He asked for my top 5, and then he proceeded to put together a list of 30.
My top 30.
My top 5.
There was a top 5 within that list, though.
Yeah, I know, but then he comes on the air and says, "Oh, well, I jotted down 30. I couldn't stop at 5."
Top 5s. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a list.
So, top 5 of your well, how did you phrase it? Not your favorite, but how did you phrase it?
Who are the greatest comic book artists of all time?
That's how.
And it's tough to just narrow that down to 5. You know what I'm saying?
You have to have a metric for it. Like, are we talking about sales? Are we talking about longevity? Are we talking about groundbreaking?
I had 5 because that's what was requested of me. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now you're talking metric. I agree. And I actually had a disclaimer on my first 3 and then my last 2.
Well, I mean, you can't just immediately, someone could say they throw out like Todd McFarlane, right? The guy killed it at Marvel. Unique style. Then he creates Image. Now he owns everything from a toy store. I don't know if he still owns like a minor league hockey team. At one point the guy had his own car. Or his own plane. I'm sorry, the guy has his own plane. It all depends on what you're looking for.
Well, the point is to base it on your perspective, right? And that's why I love doing this kind of stuff, because everybody puts their own stuff. Like me and Rex both had people that we thought deserved to be on the list because of their impact, and also people that we wanted on the list just because we liked their artwork and we thought that they did some of the best artwork out of everybody else. So it's your own personal criteria, John. I would love to hear a top 5, if not top 35.
He opened up a can of worms, and then he used the term greatest, which can be used, as you say, in different metrics.
Who are the Tom Brady's of comic book artists.
For me personally, I'm real quick because we have a lot to go through, but real quick for me, and this might be like people like, oh, this is lame, but this is just my personal opinion. The greatest comic book artist I've ever seen is Alex Ross. Then I would probably have to go with Jack Kirby. George Perez. I mean, George Perez is one of these guys that, oh, you put 6 people in a panel? That's cute. Let me show you what the Legion of Superheroes looks like. An artist that I think, that's somebody, Stevie B just said it should be 5 per era. And I think 5 per era.
That's interesting.
Makes a lot of sense.
All right, let's do the next book,
Right,
and then I want to hear your list. Batman Killing Time #1 CGC guaranteed 9.8. Suggested retail of $89.99, and it is also a best offer book starting at $25. And we've got the artist formerly known as Jesse Say What. What's going on, Jesse?
Station. The Killing Time has a second issue out this week. I'm not necessarily the hugest fan of the story, but the artwork is amazing. David Marquez, I believe, it's just absolutely fantastic. The artwork in that book is super solid.
And we've got some stuff actually that I think just came in. So some of this stuff we just got back from CGC. I think these 2 are. I'm not entirely sure, but definitely, yeah, I definitely think it is. So, all right. So those are 2 best offer books for the night, both starting at 25, CGC graded. Then we have Guardian of the Globe.
Hey, fellas, I don't have an image of Killing Time. Can somebody hold it up to the camera?
We sure can.
I have 2 different images of the same Batman Fortnite, unfortunately. Yeah.
We're talking about this Killing Time Batman?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Take this out of the plastic. Hopefully you guys will be able to at least see unfortunately the glare in the room.
I'll grab the cover while we're going here. I just needed a second. So
yeah, I might be able to get Amy to send it to you too.
Oh, I can grab it off the internet, no big deal. I saw 2 Batmans and thought we were good. That's my bad.
All right, no worries.
It's got Catwoman, Riddler, and Penguin on the cover. Coincidentally, the villains that were in the latest Batman movie. So perfect to tie all that together. Plus Killer Croc's on it too, I think.
Oh, and we have to talk about Moon Knight because I'm assuming more viewers have watched the first episode since last week. Since last time we got to talk about it really was, we talked a little bit about it on Friday on Robbie's show. We talked a little bit about it on Wednesday. But it just come out on Wednesday, so we didn't want to go too deeply into it in case there were spoilers. And I hadn't watched it at that point. I went home after the show and watched it. We all know John was up at 3 a.m. You were East Coast time, right?
I was actually a little bit later. We were on vacation, so I think we were out, and then I dozed off.
3?
And then like at 10 after 4, somebody texted me and said, hey, did you watch Moon Knight? I'm like, no, I just woke up, so I watched it then.
All right, so the reviews are coming in. There's John Spilio saying Moon Knight was excellent.
John Spilio is absolutely right. I in my opinion, the first episode was it was what you needed. It was what you needed. You introduce the character. There's some action. They hook you into. I can't wait for next week. Marvel sort of has a structure by doing these things, and even though they're always different, the storytelling style is kind of similar. Like you can get used to that, right? And I'm looking forward. I'll be the first to admit, I'm not like a huge Moon Knight fan. I've read the character. I'm not like a hardcore fan or anything. I don't know what they'll keep the same. I know there's been different iterations of Moon Knight, just like pretty much every Marvel character or DC character as well. I'm looking forward to it. The actor, playing these multiple characters is not easy.
The acting was excellent. I agree with that.
I mean, I always go back to the actress, and I can't think of her name now. She was in Orphan Black, and she's going to be She-Hulk, and I can't think of the name of her off the top of my head. I mean, she literally played 8-9 different versions of the same character.
So Josh says he thought it was solid, great acting. I agree with that. But they should have dropped the first 2 episodes at once. I agree with that as well.
I agree with that too. Like Apple TV
I got to admit, I mean, I read the reviews because I knew we'd be talking about it on Wednesday's show, but I didn't get a chance to watch it before I got to work.
Thank you, Josh. That's right. Tatiana Maslany.
Amy did, and I thought she had a pretty honest assessment. It was enough to get her to watch the next episode. She liked it overall. I felt it was kind of slow. The first episode was a little slow. And I get that they had a lot of backstory that they had to cover, especially given that we all knew that the origin story was changing. I mean, they did warn us well ahead of time for that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we were surprised. So there was a lot of preamble that had to get through, I guess, to establish the origin story. So that kind of dragged it on a little bit. And then you get the little bit of action with Moon Knight at the end. So
the last 9-10 minutes of the show, I think, is, it's like a magic trick, right? What do they call it? The prestige, this, that. I think the last 9 minutes is like, you really want to come back and watch this.
Well, let me say this. I don't want to say I really want to come back and watch this, but I would say that they've intrigued me enough that I want to see the next episode in the event that it moves along a little faster. For me, the thing about it was, it wasn't like Peacemaker. First episode of Peacemaker, just, wow, okay, that's awesome. So it didn't have that effect on me.
I think they're very different characters, and
I agree with that.
And I think you're right. I think Peacemaker, I think Moon Knight, I'm trying to think of a good way to put this. Marvel is confident now. They know we're going to put stuff out there, and we got a good chance that people are going to buy into this.
That's true.
I think DC is not. I think they're less confident. People have not always embraced the stuff they've done, especially if it's not Batman. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of people that, we want the Snyderverse, we want this, we want that.
Right.
Within the DC fan base, there's a lot of, they can't quite find the gear there. So I think with Peacemaker, they're like, nobody knows who this character is. Let's be honest.
Didn't they also release like the first 3 episodes of Peacemaker first?
They did.
They did.
That's true too.
Again, that's what you said. Doing one episode, I don't know. Like maybe if you have something like Falcon and Winter Soldier, you can get away with one episode because you already know those characters.
Yeah.
Stuff like Peacemaker, Moon Knight, I would have liked to have seen 2 episodes.
I think that would have made
the reviewers they gave 4 episodes because apparently the big thing happens in 4, whatever that's supposed to be. So
because I think that's a good point. So with Peacemaker, you kind of, after that first day watching multiple episodes, you're kind of invested in it.
Episode 4 better be Werewolf by Night, or I'm gonna be upset.
I don't feel invested in Moon Knight yet. I feel I want to see the next episode, but I don't feel like I'm like invested in it.
But they know that we're gonna watch it regardless because we don't want to miss out on the water cooler talk. Right? That's gonna be the thing. We don't want to miss out. I thought the episode was fine. I thought Oscar Isaac was great in it. I'm intrigued by the story. They've changed some things up. I think it's an interesting approach to the character for a new audience that is very unfamiliar. I even think most of the comic book audience is unfamiliar with Moon Knight because it's always everybody's trying to do their own thing with it. And how you juggle this, DID thing, and how do you handle all this, right? And so I like the approach that they've gone. Oscar Isaac blows me away in this. The moment at that steak place, like the steakhouse, where he finds out that he's missed a day. And he's just like realizing that I'm losing it. That's so good because he's just losing it. I wanted more Moon Knight, and I did think that some of the CG was really bad. Why not just give him a cape? Come on. Why we got to CG a bad cape on him? Come on. This ain't Spawn. Come on.
I was going to say that's very Spawn-like. Like we can't find a cape that does what we want it to do. Now, in the case of Todd McFarlane, the cape would have been like 35 feet long. For Spawn.
Yeah, that's way different, right?
I mean, maybe I get that. It's like a wedding dress on his back.
Physics doesn't work that way.
All right. So 62 Lefty says winning time on HBO about the Lakers dynasty is awesome. I have not watched that yet. And I plan to, but I've been a little bit resistant to it because it's a period of time I remember. I was going to say for older people, it's a little, we're at the point now where our youth is history. Yeah. And so I remember, and it was something I was intimately familiar with because I grew up a Sixers fan. So during that dynasty, it was us, it was the Bucks, it was the Celtics trying to chip away at that dynasty, from the East, and we kept chipping. So I have negative connotations about the Lakers dynasty of that era. Not that I didn't respect, obviously Magic Johnson, Kareem, all these guys, James Worthy. It's just
the actor who plays Kareem does a very good job.
Yeah, for me, it's just like I'm not ready.
I don't know his name, unfortunately, off the top of my head. But
I'd much rather watch what's happening to the Lakers this season.
I will say this though, before we move on about Moon Knight, we've gotten to a point where we're kind of between both Marvel Studios and Marvel, I guess, / Sony. I'm not quite sure how that works out, or Sony / Marvel. We've gotten to weird corners. of the Marvel universe, right? We got Spider-Man and Venom over here, super popular. We've had a ton of like Punisher, Wolverine. You know, we've kind of been through the X-Men, we've been through the Avengers. They've tried the Fantastic Four. My understanding is they'll try it again. Hopefully, third time's a charm. They'll get it right. We're in these weird corners now. We've got Morbius, which, from what I understand, maybe the less said, the better.
Reviews have not been good.
Moon Knight, which, you know, they've kind of, we're seeing a Moon Knight made for the MCU, right? This is, you know, one of the things that we talk about now in a multiverse, there's a version of everything, right? So for me to kind of accept this, you know, without any problems or, oh, this isn't how it's supposed to be, it's just another, you know, it's just another version out in the multiverse of, you know, the MCU is out there. You know, you get 616, we've got all these different versions of the character, you know, and there's, you know, and there's Moon Knight.
So actually, I have a question for Kyle, if you're there, Kyle. I know that the way the breaks are going to be soon are going to shift a little bit.
Yeah, we aren't starting with you guys because nobody made the meeting where we went over it, so we'll start those later for y'all.
Okay,
so just keep it like it normally is.
Yep,
I'm training a newbie tonight. I'm training Jay.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
I saw that.
I didn't want to throw too much at him. You know, changing the
well, then we're going to start talking about spam after the break, my friend.
Right. Doing all the stuff we already do on this show.
We are the big. Tell our new colleague that we're a major pain in the butt. Oh my Lord! Robbie's the good one, the nice one. Now imagine how bad we are.
Well, I mean, we already get hazard pay for the spam talk, so.
Well, there we go.
Nice. Well, here's to our new colleague. I hope you make it to the end of the evening.
Fedora 73, I see you. Hello, what's up? Thank you for showing up.
But no, I put it in the comments. I just want to mention Rodney Barnes, who wrote James Bond Humeros, wrote the Lakers miniseries.
Really? Oh wow!
That I did not know. That I did not know. I'm going to get around to watching it. It's just I there's a resistance. You know that as a Sixers fan, that period of time is not the way that I remember like everybody else does. So Ron wants to see the CCA on the left bottom rack. The left bottom rack. Oh, that's
you mean the Magneto?
Okay.
Wolverine.
All right, so we'll do that, and then it'll be time to go to break, and then we'll come back from break, and I will do a quick recap. All right.
Yeah, Ron, TV left or their left?
I'm guessing he means the Wolverine.
Exit stage right.
So I'm assuming he's looking at it.
We'll do Wolverine. There we go.
There we go. All right.
Wow.
So Wolverine #1 signed with Wolverine cover sketch art by Joe Rubinstein. And Joe, probably one of the most respected inkers of all time. Suggested retail of $89.99. We have it tonight for $74. And it is a true.
I had that Joe Rubinstein Kato, which is so cool.
I looked at it up close.
Man.
It is. So wait, TV left.
No TV left. So it's the thing in the other corner.
It's the thing in the other corner.
I was right. It's the Magneto one. Mm-hmm.
All right. Hey, Jay, what's going on? Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, real quick, thanks everybody for joining us. We always try to. Oh wow!
All right, so what we'll do? Oh, okay, here we go. Let me see. Okay, Marvel Contest of Champions, #1 signed with sketch cover art by Ken Hazer. Suggested retail of $89.99. It is a 5-star at $50 book. So if you're new and you've never claimed anything with us before, we have 2 types of claim. Buy it now. We'll throw out a price. To claim it, be the first one on the chats to claim it. Make sure you've got all chats on, not top chats, to make sure you see everybody's response. And then we have best offer at the end of the night. So we'll throw out a starting price, and then whoever has the best offer by $7.55 right before the end of the show will be the winner of that item. And Kyle will throw up an end line for us and a clock as we approach $7.55.
Is that Magneto like taking a samurai sword away from somebody? I'm trying to make out that cover.
I think it is.
Somebody came at Magneto with a sword, and that's a mistake.
We may have to open this bad boy up. Hold on. And then after I open it up, we'll go.
That looks like a mistake, man. Like, why would you? Unless that thing is made of glass or something, what are you doing?
It's a plastic sword. Little good that will do.
I mean, seriously, it's beautiful work by Ken. I said, and of course, I see Kirby dots, which Kirby dots make me so happy.
All right. So, yeah, I don't know what that is. But this is something I found that was new for Ken Hazer. It just happened to be sitting back there, and I happened to run across it. I know we have.
That's a nice find, man. That's very cool.
So, all right. So it's time to go to break. So we're gonna go to break. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Stay with us.
And we are back. Robbie is Rex. I don't know if he just left or something. I think he was going to get like a prize or whatever.
Well, we have to do the drawing later. So I hadn't done that part. So Stevie B says, John, I caught a video on YouTube of a guy snagging a Green Hornet lunchbox. Do you have one? And it had a thermos.
It did have a thermos. I know because
that was John.
I know right now I do not have a lunchbox. I have the thermos. I don't know what happened to the lunchbox. I was like one of these weird kids that my thermos always had food in it when I was growing up.
My mom used to do that.
Like the thermos had the food, and people would be like, "Ew," you know.
Well, you get the milk at school.
You get the milk at school, so my thermos would always be some pot roast, beef stew.
Yeah, I'd have like soup or something in mine, right? Something like that.
Or sometimes soup. Yep. Campbell's.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was a caterer, so sometimes, I mean, literally, there would be
filet mignon in a thermos.
You know what? There are times where there would be, I would open up my, I was like 8, 9 years old. I'd open my thermos. There'd be a little bit of potatoes at the bottom, and there'd be like a piece of pork or whatever in the middle, and then there'd be some kind of little vegetable at the top, because that's.
You know what's really sad though? I mean, so my mom used to like put in the thermos like rice and just Chinese stir fry and stuff. And at that age, all you want is a bologna sandwich to be like everybody else. All right, you know, and it would be like, I'd be like, Mom. All right, thank you, Kyle.
He's right though. That is depressing, man.
It's not depressing.
I just wanted like a PBJ.
I don't think that's depressing. You just want to be like everybody else. Nobody else is eating rice and stir fry. But the problem is, as an adult, we're like, well, can I get that? Because all I got is a bologna sandwich.
Well, actually, Stevie B, that's how I got introduced to spam. I finally asked my mom if she made me a spam.
But then I lost the key.
But I had asked my mom if she'd make me a spam sandwich because I had heard other kids talking at school about it. And the disgusted look on my mom's face was one that is forever burned in my memory. And the arguments we would have about the bologna sandwiches and the lack of nutrition and the fact that my mom didn't actually believe there was real meat in bologna. Because if there was real meat in bologna, why wouldn't they just identify it like chicken or beef or what? I said, well, there's beef bologna.
It's meat.
Yeah, my mom didn't buy that one either. And then I'd have to hear the long lecture of how much healthier what she put in the thermos for me was.
I agree with me right now. I remember, this is a true story. I remember opening my thermos one day, and I literally didn't know what my dad had put in there. Now I know it was a butterfly shrimp with like a little bit of crab meat stuffed into it, which was like a popular catering item back in the 70s. I remember I would always have to open my thermos and sort of go like this and hope for the best. And it was like some kind of weird sea creature with something in there. And I was just like,
and the kid with the bologna and cheese sandwich was making fun of John, like, ew, what's that smell?
Everybody at that table went, what is that smell? It's gross. It's
$12.99 a pound is what that smell is.
I understand. The teacher said, I'll take that and get you a sandwich. Now I understood why.
Yeah.
The teacher wanted to stuff
She was in a broom closet eating your lunch, pal.
I was super happy.
This is gourmet.
John got all A's that semester. And the teacher, could you bring that again tomorrow?
Oh my God.
The name change is hola, buddy. Thanks for joining us. All right, so let's do a quick recap because I know John loves.
I don't think we've done
recaps.
any books yet. I hear Ronald already saying recap. You haven't done any books.
We'll get to another book right after recap. So we started off with the Dynamite 10-pack reader set, 10 random Dynamite titles. They will have a $3.99 cover price or higher. So suggested retail of $40 or more. As always, we have it for $5 as thank you to our viewers. And if you haven't read Dynamite titles or you haven't, there are Dynamite titles you'd like to read, this is a great opportunity at 50 cents a copy. You can't lose. The only way to get these cheaper is if you come by my house and I give you like my extra copies. Those are the ones I gave you that were free. No, I gave those away and I felt nothing but joy. I told you, the guy at the comic book store was like, I haven't read comics in decades. And I'm like, shame on you. Here, take these. You're welcome. You're welcome. So I got to make you feel like Santa Claus. So the
like my tailor does that when you get me.
Peanut butter and jelly time. Well, no, but we might need some spam later in the show. And I don't mean the email kind. All right. So then we did Marvel Contest of Champions #1. Signed with sketch cover art by Ken Hazer. Suggested retail of $89.99. We have this one 5-star at $50.
I'll tell you, that is a beautiful book for $50, man. Someone should not leave that on the rack. Holy cow!
And as you guys know, we're huge Ken Hazer fans, me and John. And I think we've converted Robbie as
well. If we don't put Ken Hazer in the top 5, we're not going to get any more books. Sorry. Oops. Oops. You didn't think about that.
All right, the next up we had Wolverine #1 signed with Wolverine cover sketch art by Joe Rubenstein, one of the most respected inkers of all time. Suggested retail of $89.99, and we have one available for $74. And this one is a true pencil sketch with the shadow. And it's just unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah, this one looks really nice. I like it. Very detailed.
Something a little bit different. And then we had Batman Fortnite 0.1 CGC graded, guaranteed 9.8.
Do you need me to hold that up again?
No.
Oh no, there we go.
Oh,
the other Batman. I'm sorry, my bad.
It's suggested retail of $89.99. It is a best offer book starting at $25 tonight. Then we had Batman Killing Time #1 CGC graded 9.8. And it has suggested retail of $89.99, and it is one of our best offer books at $25. Let's see. All right. So next up, let's get these next two best offers out of the way. So next up, we have Guarding the Globe #1, signed in silver by Todd Knock. Suggested retail of $69.99. It is a best offer book starting at $19.69. And it is limited edition number 10 of 20.
For people who might not know, this is from the Invincible universe.
I was about to ask if it was connected because it looks like
it's from the Invincible universe. I have to tell you, Invincible, outside of Dynamite, Invincible is probably the book I've enjoyed the most in the last 15 or 20 years. I there might be one or two others in there, but like Astro City is probably in there too when Kurt can find time in his schedule to do it. But Invincible. Start, middle, end, kind of restarted, ended again. They kind of bounced out a couple things. The Astounding Wolf Man is another book from that universe that I got to tell you right now. I guess the omnibuses are out now.
Right.
Really, really good stuff. I mean, I tell people all the time, if you're looking to jump into something that's really well fleshed out, a lot of issues, that's a good place to start.
So we have one available tonight, and it is a best offer book starting at $19.69. All right, and now for the statue of the night, we have Women of Dynamite, Vampirella, Arthur Adams bust, Black and Blood, artist proof edition. Suggested retail of $169.99, and it is a best offer statue starting at $30.
Gorgeous.
All right, red or black costume? I have two.
It is the black costume.
Thank you.
I was talking to cosplayer today, Rachel Holland, about the black, and she was talking about, she was asking because she did 3 cosplays, one in white, one in red, and one in black, and she was asking her followers which one they liked. And I said, I know red is traditional. I've been reading Vampirella since the 70s, but there's something about the black costume, especially in like 3D real life when a cosplayer has it on, looks absolutely great. And I think that's about as close as you get to, you know, seeing one of the cosplayers wear this thing.
That's cool. And it's based on the Art Adams artwork, which Art Adams, a legend, one of those greatest of all times, and a tribute to Hamlet here as well.
I like that.
Yes. Very well pointed out, my friend. So those are the best offer items of the night, and best offer by 755, we'll take it. Let's see. So we have been talking about Moon Knight, the first episode, obviously. You know, I think we're all eager to see the second episode on Wednesday. And then we've been talking about Robbie's question from Friday, top 5 greatest artists. All right, Adrian's in for 30 on the... Gotcha, buddy.
Adrian, this statue is so nice, man. Like, the artist proofs are just very cool. They're super hard to find. Go to a con. You think I'm kidding? Go to a show or a con and ask someone about an artist proof statue and watch like the, you know what I mean? Watch your wallet wince when they tell you the price of this stuff.
So, yeah, so we were talking about the 5 greatest artists in comic book history. So
it really is almost impossible to do.
Well, I had 3. What were my top 3? You remember? It was Jack Kirby.
Yeah, Jack Kirby. You had Siegel and Schuster and Ditko.
Yes. Yeah, and Ditko. And the reason I picked those 3 because, again, I was not aware that I could exceed 5 choices because Robbie's email was vague and unclear. I would have showed up with a lot more. But those 3, for me, had to be on top of the list because of what they did that has had an effect on comic books, MCU, all of it.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about the guys that created the most popular, obviously, that have transferred into the MCU. So they're game changers. I mean, they've had a fundamental effect on the industry as a whole.
That's like a big criteria in the top 5 I have. The gravity, the guys who've made the impact. Yeah, Larsman is talking about John Byrne in his top 5.
Well, Rex had John Byrne. To finish out his top 5, he had Neil Adams and John Byrne.
And my explanation to Robbie for that was because, again, I thought I was limited to 5. So I had an honorable mention for like Roy Thomas and Stan Lee because I felt like they also should have been within my top 3 parameters. But again, thinking I was
artists, though.
5.
Artists, though. We're talking
No, I understand that. But at that point, I'm honorable mention because of the effect that they had.
There was one comment we had, Rex, where somebody said this one guy's giving Stanley too much props in a greatest comics artist video.
Could Stan draw?
Yeah, no, he could
draw up a contract.
But my point is that those 2 also had that same kind of fundamental shifting effect. I mean, for me, Stanley, although you may not have been an artist, MCU exists because of his persistence. Okay, he had years of the horrible Corman films. I mean, any other sane human being would have said, this ain't gonna work.
We'll have to do the writer discussion, soon. But I remember you said I remember you said that you said that Neil Adams and John Byrne you liked because that was like a personal preference, right?
Right. So
and that's great to put in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So they made my top 5 because they had a personal effect on reading comic books. For me, Neil Adams' redefinition of Batman after coming out of the 50s, that was significant to me, And then John Byrne,
you could argue, for instance, then what about the commitment? What about the impact Will Eisner had? And shouldn't he be on a top 5? And so then and it's true. We mentioned Will Eisner on the show, but it is like personal preference is going to get in there. Like for me, I had Jack Kirby. It was Jack Kirby. It was Mike Mignola, John Byrne, Frank Miller, and Daniel Klaus. That was my 5.
See, that's why you need parameters. You need a criteria. Because are you doing your favorite 5? Or are you doing the 5 that are, you know what I mean? Are you trying to create some sort of, I don't want to overcomplicate a funny bit, but are you trying to create some sort of point system where all the criteria are weighted? It's almost impossible. It's fun to talk about. I mean, I don't know how many podcasts are out there now for the last 10 years from now talking about this stuff. But I've been on shows where I've been a guest on where, you know, we've talked about best this, that, or whatever. For
it's
me,
always subjective. It's always subjective.
First and foremost, when people ask me my top 5 artists, it's always for me people that changed how I felt about books when I looked at them. That's why it's Alex Ross. That's why it's Jack Kirby. It's George Perez. For me, it's Jim Steranko. And for me, it's Neil Adams. Those are the top 5 that come to me. That for me personally, when I looked at comics, you know, a guy like Gil Kane is amazing, but you know, is he more amazing than Steve Ditko? Everybody. Ditko is someone who could actually be on that list though, because Ditko had a style that was super unique.
Well, yeah, but I mean, not only that, you know, the creation of characters that have endured the test of time. That's why I picked those 3 as my top 3, you know. And then once you talk about the effect, if that's going to be my parameters, then Stevie B. And on Friday on Robbie's show, we'll be talking about the top 5 Playboy.
Tell you something about them Playboy cartoonists. They made a lot of bank. They made a lot of money. Still do, I bet. I don't know. They still publish that book? Does it still have cartoons?
I don't know if they published the book, but I remember Christine Hefner, I think, she kind of took over for her dad. She talked about that. They're known in the industry for paying out the royalties, which is how they always got the talent. You know, there are people that, you know, the deal where you'd sign the back of your check, you signed over the rights. Like Robbie said, some of those cartoonists and stuff like that, these people have been getting checks for years.
Well, let's just say that the Hefner family or the heirs, they've got bigger problems right now, as all this bad news and all this stuff is coming out. So, but no, I do not believe it's still published, but I might be incorrect.
I think it's a website or something now, right? Like the brand has value, but I mean, I just don't know if.
Well, here's the thing. We were talking about comic books and how you need the youth to get into it. And you correlate that to like cigarettes at times, unfortunate as that sounds. How do you get the youth to want to have Playboys? Because when I was a kid, it was because there was no internet. So like you start looking at the dirty magazine.
Yeah,
so like
you're not.
You're not. I mean, essentially, I think that's taken the same path as say music. You know, the medium for delivery has changed. So the value no longer has the same value.
I like Sheldon's top 5 in there. He's got Alan Davis in there. He's got John Buscemi.
Oh, that's a good choice. Yeah,
that's a real good show.
Yeah, circling back to that, I mean, you know, so Neil Adams and then John Byrne and obviously Claremont attached to that. You know, they defined X-Men for me, and during that period of time, my first real going to your LCS and getting books, and I was explaining this to Robbie. You got like some pocket change, so you've got to decide what you're going to get. And for me, the way to decide was obviously John Byrne's X-Men, and that's how I just decided to spend my meager coinage at that time.
X-Men is what, $7.99 now?
yeah, forget about it, dude. I mean, I'd be trying to scrape up like hey, someone like my friends, hey, you guys got an extra quarter? No, I gotta get mine, right?
Throw up another book before Ronald yells at us again.
Oh, he's yelling at you. He never yells at me.
He
never got mad when I was here doing the show by myself. Anyway, all right. So let's do.
Am I a discourse distractor? Oh no.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. Last week we couldn't stop talking about that Will Smith Chris Rock thing. Like we just
it was all right. So go ahead. There we go. There's a choice. Venom Legacy number 200. Number 35 signed by Donnie Cates. Suggested retail of $69.99, 5-star at $50. So, well, yeah, I mean, that was immediately after. I mean, it was. I read somebody's article, like it was satirical in nature, but it was just like, oh wait, it was Saturday Night Live. Whoever the guest was, he just kept talking about how it feels like this happened like years and years ago, and we've been doing nothing but talking about it, and it does feel like that. The whole Will Smith thing. I know you were on vacation, but you
so tired now. So tired of it,
It looked like pro wrestling to me. A grown man doesn't slap like that unless he's unless he's faking it. And Chris Rock, that he was Pookie. He can act a little bit. Just
Pookie. New Jack City.
It's a work. It's a work to get you to watch the show. Nobody talked about that.
I saw a meme. I saw a meme where it was Ice-T from New Jack City. Like after it was the slap, and then Ice-T was like, like coming for Will Smith.
You know what's funny is I gotta say, and there's something to be said about the conspiracy theory, but the two parties involved, I got more money than they know what to do with. So it can't be a money motivator. But I would not even have known that the Academy Awards was even on. And I didn't really know, but I'd fallen asleep on my couch and I was kind of half asleep. And the news had it, the local news had it, where Will Smith is smacking him. And all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, is that for real? And I kind of woke up.
We talk about the changing of mediums and how content is delivered, right?
Yes.
We are here essentially doing listicles about top 5 creators, right? So imagine we do this all the time. People for years have talked about this on podcasts and blogs and vlogs, on and on. People don't know when the Kirby Awards are anymore because we're talking about it constantly. Who's the best artist and writer? Who's the most profitable? Who's got the best this and that? Who's responsible for what? Before, that really just didn't happen very much. Sure, maybe you'd get a fanzine come out or something, but you waited for the Kirby Awards or the Eisner Awards to tell you what was the best book. Now, essentially, you're kind of, you're making that decision yourself. The best book is what I'm reading. Right. You read what you want to read. It's very difficult to have an objective conversation about this stuff unless you really put some strict parameters on it, like money drawn, years in the industry.
Right.
So you'll see people come floating in and out. You know what I mean? Like Mike Grell was an incredible talent. Mike Grell didn't really hang out that much and that long. He was in for a few years, didn't really do characters. He didn't work on like Batman or Superman. You know what I mean? That's another metric you'd have to have is, Nick Cardy's Aquaman, who most people don't remember, outweigh Gil Kane's Green Lantern or, Wayne Boring's Superman. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on here.
We have the society in pop culture where we love these lists, right? So many of the biggest YouTube channels like just do lists and stuff like that. Yep. I do lists and I love doing stuff. I love ranking things because, and I think one of the reasons why we love watching these lists because we want to see our stuff that we love reflected in those lists. Like when somebody that you love, they put your artist up there and you're like, oh, that's awesome. They like the same artist as me. Most people, and I tell you this, for spending decades working in movie theaters, movie rental stores, and comic shops, that audience, they don't care about the Oscars or the Eisners. They don't care about any of that. They just want something cool and entertaining and fun.
They really do. And Josh, you know what? What you just said is something I've been saying pretty much since Robbie started joining us. Robbie contextualizes a lot of, there's a ton of content out there. There's a ton of noise out there. Blogs, vlogs, podcasts, whatever. We're also here trying to, sell at least 3 books every show. And Robbie sort of is a great touchstone for sort of, putting a lot of this in context because you look at it, you open your browser and you're like, what? You know what I mean? You open your social media feeds and it's a million things going on. Whereas, Robbie joins us and we sort of get a little bit of, a little bit of form, a little bit of, the form and function to all this information. So Josh is 100% right. There's a lot of times where, you'll check in with Robbie or, some of the other people that were, join us or you join them and sort of, you know what I mean? The experience in general, the channel, you know what I mean? People like this, that, we have like Jen, what's in the box or whatever. It helps put a little bit, it focuses a little bit. Right. I want to collect comics. I don't know how. Well, you're watching people on the channel and you have everything from our show, which is more lighthearted, to, we have shows on the show where, they're real specific, telling us, what's good, what's hot this week, what might be a good investment, et cetera.
Well, thank you so much. That's Simon Bisley. That's a good one. Here's one I just thought of. You wouldn't necessarily maybe think of it at the quality of what maybe most people think of their artwork, but as far as impact, look what Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird accomplished with a self-published 3,000 print run.
Yeah,
independent comic. That's crazy.
Dave Sim is another one. I mean, it's very, very, very difficult for you to sort of, and then where do you put characters, people like Doug Wildey? Now, that might not be a name. I love Doug Wildey. That might not be a name that leaps out at you. Doug Wildey is primarily responsible for Johnny Quest and the direction of a lot of the look of the Hanna-Barbera universe through the 60s.
Yeah.
Not to mention his cowboy book, Rio. To me, everything gets measured against Rio, including when Dynamite did Lone Ranger. I measured everything against the metric of Rio. Like,
you got Alex Toth.
Look like.
Alex Toth, for instance. Jeff Darrow was not on anybody's list, and he doesn't have a lot of comic book work, but what there is phenomenal. And then there's lots. I mean, we were talking about. There's also take it outside of the U.S. Katsuhiro Otomo with Akira, the cat that did Astro Boy. Like, it's just never ending. It's a never ending. That's why I came with the list of 35, Rex.
No, I mean, but it's true though. I mean,
Thanks for the heads up. All right, let's get to another book real quick. So we have some Peter David signed stuff. We have Last Avengers Story, Marvel Tales #1, signed by Peter David. Suggested retail of $49.99. We have one available tonight. Buy it now for $19.63. It is limited edition, number 4 out of 15.
I think this might have originally been presented. I might be mistaken.
It was in the 90s.
Yeah, wasn't this originally presented in 2 issues in the 90s?
It was a 2-issue series. I loved it when I was like a teenager in the 90s. I thought it was so cool. It's like you see the Avengers like die and stuff like that. So I thought it was super cool. And when this came out like a little bit ago, so it's a reprint of both issues together, I sold it because so many people had never read that book from the 90s. And I was like, you got to check this book out. It's gnarly. It's fun. And Peter David, great writer, man.
The Wasp was shrinking in this book. Like, she couldn't control it. I remember there's a scene in the book where she's like 3 feet tall. And she's sitting there kind of talking to Tony Stark or whatever. And she's been shrinking for so long they can't stop it. Eventually she'll just be gone. Right. And I remember thinking, that's a horrible end. I mean, not as horrible as the end of Ultimate Wasp in the Ultimate Comics, where she got ate
by Blob.
Yeah, eaten by the Blob. But I mean, that's terrible. I mean, you literally are just shrinking away. And that's like one of the Adams things. One day I'm going to shrink and I'm just not going to come back.
Right. All right, so that is also available tonight. Let's see. Ooh, we're getting close to our second break.
If you don't pick up this, I would strongly recommend try to track down back issues or something. Really, really cool. It's just a really cool story. And now it's in one book, which is nice.
Yeah, that's a really cool story. Jeff Smith's a good one too.
The covers had like these plastic sort of.
They were like. It was like they also did Ruins. They were kind of taking on that Marvel thing. Like Marvels came out the acetate cover, and so
had the acetate cover, and it was nicely done.
There was these one shots. There was a Tales to Astonish, a Tales of Suspense, and there was one more Strange Tales. I think I have those.
Tales was
yeah, and they were painted. They were so good. Those are really, really fun books.
All right, so
Jeff Smith. Joel mentions Jeff Smith. Jeff Smith is, you know what I mean? This is why we're talking about. It's fun to talk about. We always encourage people to join the conversation like they're doing, but it's super, super. Dwayne Payne mentions J.R. Jr. Yeah, I mean, J.R. Jr. still worked on all the top characters, has worked for years, right. Comes from royalty. And if you've ever met J.R. Jr. at a show or at a store, incredibly gracious.
All right, so it's time to go to our second break. And when we come back, we're going to lead off with a Venom Ken Hazer cover sketch. We just had it on the air, but somebody asked, I think we had 2 people who wanted it. So I did manage to find another one. So we'll start that off when we get back from the break.
Thanks for tuning into The Experience. Help us out and hit subscribe over on YouTube, and make sure you click the bell when you do. Need some help? Scan the QR code in the bottom corner.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
You're watching The Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
All right, and we're back. Two Gun Pedro's joined us. Thanks, buddy. So probably
real quick before you start,
Go
thank
ahead.
everybody for joining us. I
Yes,
sometimes
absolutely.
feel like maybe we forget or we don't mention it. I mean, of course, we appreciate Robbie taking time out of his day to join us. We appreciate Alec taking his time on Wednesday. We also jump into their shows. Always a lot of fun, but we really appreciate, our regulars, the new people who bomb on by. I mean, without them, there's no show. I mean, truth be told, we can just throw this stuff on a website and go home. You want the book, and just tell you. I mean, literally Dynamite Comics or The Experience or any publisher could just put out there, go to our website and buy the books. Done.
All right. Hey, fellas. Jay is taking over this hour. Go easy on him.
Uh-oh.
Or I'll have to can the spam. Which I felt like was a better pun in my head.
I don't understand what
Jay,
that means.
send the CGI package on 3. No, I'm just kidding.
we see where you were trying to go with that one, Kyle, but it was all right.
It worked better
right.
in my head.
Sometimes that happens. So, all right. So, welcome, Jay. And what we're going to try to do here is we are going to do a quick recap.
Ron just mentioned, excuse me for interrupting. Ron just mentioned, where's Mike Zeck on the list?
Good question.
Exactly. Lucio Perillo. I mean,
I only had 5 available to me, so you'll have to talk to Robbie, who had
really
35.
Sort of, you do like the top 5 stylistic, top 5.
What about Walt Simonson? Where's Walt Simonson? We can keep going.
You get no argument from me. I mean, everybody's top 5 is sort of
Barry Windsor Smith.
All right, so I promised we would do the Venom when we came back from the break. So we have Venom number 25, signed with cover sketch art by Ken Hazer. Suggested retail of $89.99, and we have one available for $62. I don't remember who asked me, but it's always amazing to me, this black the black blank cover variant. And when Hazer does this with a silver paint pen, this one I think is slightly different than the one we had.
I was going to say
this is a full profile. Different. The other one was kind of, quarter, what 3/4 profile, not half.
I think so.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, so
I will say
it's always a little different.
Ken Hazer does a lot of amazing stuff for us. My personal favorite is the black blank variant work.
Yes,
I'm fortunate enough to have.
Is this done with like marker?
No, it's a paint pen.
It's done with like a silver metallic paint pen.
So is it like a brush tip or a?
Nope. It's really this is why I didn't realize you didn't know what
he
paint pen was.
He discussed this on Instagram. It's super difficult.
It's basically when you open up the pen, there's where the stylus is actually a little hole for the paint to be able to flow out. So then you have to press the tip several times to get the ink flowing.
It's almost like tattooing.
Yeah, but the problem with it is that I've noticed this, in the years trying to get things to sign. What invariably ends up happening is it'll start to glob. It's real difficult to get a smooth line. Like I've tried signing my own name to it, and a lot of times you get to a certain point, there's a little glob in the pen, and you got to work that glob out. And if you don't, it turns into a blob.
This is amazing work for that. Then this is absolutely amazing work for that.
The smear rate. I remember I had books signed, and we didn't put the tissue paper behind it, so the ink bled onto the backs of every one.
I joked with Ken Hazer about doing something in like that bright green color that I love, and he's like, "What are you trying to make me blind?" He's like, "This is hard enough as it is, and now you want me to drain 6 pens of bright emerald green in my face?" He's like, "You've got all the green that you are getting." Ronald brought up a really good point, and I hear this sometimes. I don't even think people mean it negatively, but I hear the same 2-3 people always get the good stuff of the show. Ron just brought up a really good point. We've had some very cool CCAs. He hasn't bid on them. He hasn't scooped them up immediately. This is your opportunity. If you're one of those people that watch the show and you're like, oh, man, the same 3 or 4 people buy all the good stuff. It's usually Ron, Dave, library kid. the stuff is out there. If you're interested, you know what I mean? Don't not bid, or, don't be afraid to bid, go after the stuff you like. Especially now, we've been doing this for a while. We've talked about this. We're not making a secret about it. We've gone through a lot of our stuff.
Yeah.
We're going through stuff. I think it's safe to say we're going through stuff faster than we're acquiring stuff.
Well, yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
that would be a fair statement.
It's kind of like this, right? So, if there's something you really like, you want to pick up, I mean, authoritatively, I'll tell you this is the lowest price you're going to pick these things up for. Anywhere else, you're going to pay more. So if you're interested, and yeah, sure, guys like Ron, they come in, guys like Dave, they come in and they pick up their stuff because they know it's good, they know what they want, they know what they need for their own, portfolios and collections. But, don't wait. We don't always have, we don't have 9 copies of this. Sometimes we have 1 or maybe 2. Yeah, Dwayne's opinion is right. Basically, get it while you can. I see sometimes comments on, Instagram or Twitter, people are like, oh, man, I missed out. First of all, you can always email Rex.
Yes.
And to see if we have any more. And not to sound like a jerk, but get in here at 6 o'clock Eastern time if there's something you want. We always kind of let people know when we're on. Don't
Isn't it funny how whenever John says, not to seem like a jerk, that's exactly how he seems? I don't know. I'm just saying.
You can get away with murder when you say that. No disrespect, but
thank you, Lars, man. Dwayne's a pain. But all right, it is time. Let's do a recap because I don't know how.
That being said, don't leave that black blank variant Venom up there, right? Because a year or so from now, you'll see it at a show and it'll be like $300, and you'll be like, oh, I could have picked that up for $50.
All right, so we're going to do a recap. So, Jay, buckle up, and we're going to go a little bit slower. Jay's doing this. Jay's new with us, and we appreciate him being here. Let's see. Stevie B says, I have a Don Larson autographed picture signed in silver. His signature looks great, but when the pen blotted on him when he went to date it. Yep, that's what happens. Hashtag pray for Jay. All right, so we started off the show as we always do with the Dynamite 10-pack reader set. 10 random Dynamite titles. Cover price of $3.99 or higher. So suggested retail of $40 or higher. And as always, we have it for $5, 50 cents a copy, as a thank you to our viewers. All right. And the titles will be random. So they will differ from what you see on the screen now. But at 50 cents a copy, you can't lose. And John Spilios, Jennifer's Blood. I'm sorry, John. Can you do me a favor and email me that, my friend? And Ron's in for 25 on the Killing Time. Gotcha.
Nice.
All right. Gotcha. And yeah, John, shoot me an email, buddy. I'll be able to take care of that for you. So, all right. So Ron's in for that. All right. So then we had Last Avengers Story, Marvel Tales #1, signed by Peter David. Number 4 out of 15, a limited edition. Suggested retail of $49.99. We have one available for $19.63. That's actually the other Peter David, Jay. Yeah, but you know what?
Avengers one.
You know what?
And you also got Ron. Ron's unleashing it now. He's made a bid on the Fortnite slab.
Ron's making a bid on the Fortnite too. Gotcha, Ron.
In all fairness,
he's tired of waiting.
Ron waited an hour.
He did.
The entire first hour, he gave everyone, the opportunity, and then, you know what I mean? So it's not like, like the same 3 people are jumping on the books all the time.
So hold on. John Cole may be able to. So Adrian is asking John Spilios. He's still a bit confused to the ending on Jennifer Blood #5. Is Juliana still a factor? The Eli, let me get it to you, buddy. All right. So Eli's curious about the cover sketch art. Okay. So we have Marvel Contest of Champions #1, signed with a sketch cover art by Ken Hayes.
Sean, did you think it was my email and you deleted it? Only my emails are supposed to go to spam, not the actual people who watch this show.
I'll have to double check, make sure not all Johns are being blocked.
Stevie B is bidding 35 on the
statue. All right,
show.
Gotcha, Stevie B.
John, you got to read the rest of the comment, man. What are you, a narc?
John.
Oh, sorry.
This is how Ron gets in trouble.
Sorry, man.
All right, so let me get to the cover sketch art for Eli. So we had, let's see, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is Marvel Contest of Champions #1, signed with sketch cover art by Ken Hazer. Obviously Magneto with a sword. Suggested retail of $89.99. It is one of our 5-star books at $50. So that was the first one, and then we had Wolverine #1, signed with Wolverine cover sketch art by Joe Rubenstein, the famous inker, and suggested retail of $89.99, and we have that available for $74. And we also had Venom number 25, signed with cover sketch art by Ken Hazer, suggested retail of $89.99, and we have one available for $62 tonight.
62 Lefty Blues. Maybe you should check out this one, because it's like, it seems like that's, the universe speaking out to you. So just saying.
There you go. And Stevie B goes, it's okay. She went to feed the dog. That's good news.
Nice.
John and Adrian, I agree with you. The Jennifer Blood #5 is a little, I don't want to say unclear, but it's not specific. My personal take is that the sheriff is sort of, her story arc is played out. But, I don't want to put words into.
So Eli
Eli wants Venom.
All right. I got you, Eli. You got the Venom cover sketch art. You got it, buddy.
I got the idea that her story was done too, and now we're on a completely different thing, but they could bring it back because that's what story is, right? So
it's just like, it's comic books. One of the things, I don't know who's the first creator that said it. I've heard John Burns say it. I've heard other people. Nobody in comics dies forever.
You heard me say it.
So you know what I mean? I just get the impression that the sheriff's arc in Jennifer Blood is done for now. You know what I mean? I think the world of Jennifer Blood, I don't think it lends itself to keeping people around that long. No. I mean, I'm not saying they're just killing all the sporting characters.
There's a reason Punisher doesn't have a good rogues gallery, because he just kills them.
Exactly my point. I just think that it's not that certain characters like Batman, Spider-Man, or whatever, they lend themselves to the recurring arch villain. When you're at that point like Punisher or Jennifer Blood, where, look, I really don't want to do this, but if you ruin my life, I'm going to end yours. I mean, that's their, their mantra, right? That's
so I am liking the second part of this series, because the first part, she's in this like community that's like all these like criminals that are there in witness protection, and she just takes care of that. And now she's in a hospital for criminals. Yeah, right. But now she's in the hospital, and I love that whole bit too. That's really cool stuff.
The first few issues, I'm just waiting for her to get gassed. Like Patrick McGowan in The Prisoner, I'm reading this and I'm like, wait, so it's the whole town? Oh, okay.
Where's the big ball?
So Ron, nobody's claimed it yet. So if you're interested, buddy, it's all yours.
To be clear, this Magneto cover has Kirby dots, which is like one of my favorite things in comic book art ever.
Yes, that crackle.
I do. I love that, man. I've heard it,
All right. So Jay threw this up earlier, so we might as well do it. Marvel Tales Genus Vel #1, signed by Peter David, suggested retail of $49.99. We have one available for $19.66. It is limited edition 11 of 15.
I'm excited for this because, just like with the last Avengers story, I adore the work that Peter David did with this iteration of Captain Marvel in the 90s. This was a dumb, extreme 90s character with his hair coming out of a half mask. It was so silly. It was ridiculous. Wild. But then when Peter David came in, and there were like 2 series that he did, because they canceled it, and then they did this like big like promotional thing where he was in a competition with Joe Quesada and Bill Jemas to see which book would survive the gauntlet or whatever. And so there are 2 series of his work with Genus Vel. I love him. I love him. It is so good. And it was the first Captain Marvel stuff I ever read. And that's what got me into the world of the character. And then I bought the life of Captain Marvel and the death of Captain Marvel. So yeah. Good
Speaking of Captain Marvel real quick, not that I want to trigger this again, but nobody mentioned Jim Starlin.
That's true.
In Top Blackbird.
Wait,
Jim
Starlin
Starlin
on your list, Robbie?
No, I mean, no, he wasn't. But Jim Starlin's going to be in my hometown at a con in like 2.5 weeks, and I get to do the panel with him. I get to do his panel, and I get to do Kevin Eastman's panel, and I could not be more excited.
You.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us thank you for everything.
I will.
Are you going to that the Fan Expo in Philly?
I might.
So it looks like they've got some creators coming in. And
there's some creators coming in. It's good for me because I kind of need to get back into it a little bit because I used to go to smaller cons and I went to all the big cons. When
Hold that thought for 1 second. Eli, yes, you can. We'll throw that back up there. Hold on. Can we, guys, can we throw up the Wolverine #1 cover sketch art by Joe Rubenstein? There we go. Okay, continue.
That's so nice.
It is.
I like Stevie B's idea too. Historical variants of characters.
That's interesting.
Tonight,
I love Ken Burns and I love the story of Ben Franklin. Like he's like an interesting figure to me. And I am so pumped to see this. Like I cannot wait. Like, is it already out?
Set, man. There is no
is it out soon or something? Like, because I
saw Ken Burns. Yeah, I saw Ken Burns on like one of the morning shows promoting it.
I'm all for it, man. I love Ken Burns.
The app, I think you have to wait until the West Coast airs it before it drops on the app.
Ken Burns Baseball is the best documentary ever made.
I would have to agree. It goes a little long. I mean, that's a lot of episodes, but I agree with you as well. It really is, especially the earlier time. Adrian, I think he kind of glossed over modern days.
Boys, by the way, Adrian was asking about the Boys Omnibus. I'm excited for everything about the Boys.
Shocker. What is going on with the Dreadstar Omnis?
You know what? That's probably a question that maybe Robbie can ask Jim Starlin when. No, I mean seriously, we wouldn't know. I mean, literally, if Robbie's going to be sitting at a panel with Jim and they're asking questions. You know, if it's not out of order, maybe he knows. I mean, we certainly don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right, so
Eli, you gotta pick those questions carefully.
All right, so Eli
I agree. That's why I'm saying that's like your discretion at the panel thing.
All right, so Eli is claiming the Joe Rubenstein cover sketch art. You got it, Eli. I got you down, buddy.
Eli, that is such a cool sketch. A couple weeks ago, I was gifted the Kato Joe Rubenstein sketch, and I got to tell you, that is just so. The way he captures Kato minimally with a sketch, I mean, you know, it's very.
I love his inking on Miller in that Wolverine series. I adore it. It's so good. We got to meet him. He was at that same con a couple years ago, and it was maybe 3 years ago. But super cool dude too, and really cool. And will take time to talk to you if you see him at a con.
So when John says gifted, what he meant was that he wouldn't leave until we gave it to him. So I guess that's gifted, sort of.
He finds me with a pry bar in his office. Get out of here!
I
don't know. He put out a Dreadstar bar.
Okay, you saw that one. Good.
Then they did something like he got the rights, and they just recently did a Kickstarter or something. I don't know. I need to look into it, so I don't really know.
You know what?
I've never read Dreadstar.
I don't remember everything, but that actually sounds very familiar. That there was some sort of Dreadstar Kickstarter collection. Thing.
Yeah, there was something, but I don't remember exactly what it was. I've never read Dreadstar, so that's something I definitely may. I guess too late now if you can't find any trades.
You know what? I mean, I remember reading it was very cool. Back in the day, it was really cool. It was like this weird mix of like. They did some very cool, funky stuff in the 70s, early 80s with sci-fi.
Right.
You know what I mean? Sometimes they would drag in like fantasy. They would try to blend the two. Dreadstar is probably the most successful example of that. I mean, you know, you've got somebody said the 5 things nobody talks about in comics. ElfQuest is one of them. Dreadstar is one of them. These are works that when you read them, you pick them up. I remember the first time I picked up ElfQuest or Dreadstar, I was like, what am I reading here? You know, the old Curtis black and white magazines when Marvel premiered the original Star-Lord.
Right. When,
you know, it was John Byrne, I guess Chris Claremont. When you look at Star-Lord today, and he's dancing, and it's kind of funny, you know what I mean? You look at the original iteration of Star-Lord, it is not the same. These two things are not the same at all. There was a certain element of, wow, I haven't seen this before. And Dreadstar absolutely had that. ElfQuest had that. There's one or two other things too. Anybody who remembers Alien Legion?
Yeah, I remember that.
That's another book that's kind of almost been forgotten, but
there's a lot of books like that, right? So many. Ronald wants to look at the King in Black
book. So Ron wants to see the King in Black book. So we'll do that one next. King in Black #3, signed by Ryan Stegman. Suggested retail of $69.99. We have one available for $39.99. It is limited edition of number 5 of 30, signed in silver by Ryan Stegman. And we have one available for $39.99.
5 of 30? Is that what it is?
5 of 30, yes.
Is it 5 of 30? Nice low number. I know some people are really into like the lower number or whatever.
That's before he gets too tired and the Stegosaurus looking thing gets looser. So this is a good tight one. He's already done a few warm-ups, and this is a good number of the signature to get.
I was gonna say you want to catch him early in the cycle.
Yeah, otherwise the Stegosaurus looks like it's sleeping.
I have a Stegosaurus that he drew when he was drunk. That is maybe my favorite signature I've ever gotten.
Drunk variant.
See, that would go straight to the tattoo artist.
It's one of those things that, like, he signed it on a cup at a karaoke after party at a really small convention and just threw it at me because we were goofing around and he got angry. And I cherish that cup.
It's just hermetically sealed. The cup is like suspended in like a glass box.
So Robbie,
like Scrooge McDuck's first dime.
That's great.
Yes,
I love it.
So Robbie, what is the movie review tonight?
We're off tonight, actually.
Oh yeah, you are. I did not know that.
We're off tonight and next week. But when we come back, April 18th, it's Ghost World, and the Friday before that, we're going to do a Comics Revisited on The Great Ghost World by Daniel Clowes, and then we're doing the movie review the following Monday.
Speaking of books that you forget, like that get lost in these conversations of groundbreaking.
Well, Daniel Clowes was in my top 5, so.
Yeah, I mean, Ghost World came out, and I remember people just standing around the store like, what am I reading here? They to me, those are the books that really sort of, resonate. Like,
you were talking about the artists on your list. When you experienced their work for the first time, it redefined what comics were for you. That's everybody on my list. Mike Mignola, Frank Miller, Daniel Clowes. Like, these are dudes that like redefined it. I was like, wow, comics can be something else.
Yes.
That's awesome.
All right. So Eli is
Your
asking.
moment has come. Eli is
asking for John's favorite part of the show, and that would be the recap. So we're gonna do a recap because
Rex is filled with so much justified vindication right now.
If there was an award, I'd be standing up thanking the Academy, and then I'd be smacking John and telling him to keep my name out of his effing mouth.
Rex's contract negotiation with Nick is borderline. I want more recaps. Okay.
Oh my Lord. Okay, so we are gonna do a quick recap.
Holy cow!
All right, so buckle up, Jay. I talk fast most of the time. So we started off with Dynamite 10-pack reader set, 10 random Dynamite titles. Suggested retail $40 or higher. We have it for $5, as we always do. Sorry, you don't have to show that one, Jay. We're going to go to the next one. So we had Last Avenger Story, Marvel Tales #1, signed by Peter David. Suggested retail $49.99. We have one available for $19.63. It is limited edition, number 4 of 15. There we go. All right.
That's just a great story, man. I really hope people sort of, I hope someone like hears the show and goes out and picks it up, whether it's the back issues or this, or I don't even care if I don't even know if it's available digitally, but it's just a great story. And like Robbie mentioned, it was at a time where you didn't see this kind of stuff. You just didn't see, when somebody died, it was always sort of like, they'll be right back or whatever. This was the last Avengers story. Like, they were telling you, this is how this ends. And it was, it was harsh. It was harsh for its time.
All right. So next up is Marvel Tales, Genus Vel #1, signed by Peter David. Suggested retail $49.99, and we have one available for $19.66.
That's the only downside of the Captain Marvel version that Marvel Studios is doing. You're not going to get the Marvel, I guess, segment catalog.
Right.
Of, and there was some really cool stuff in there. Marvel, some very cool characters, Genus Bell. I think all that, I just don't think that stuff is ever going to be seen.
So that is available for $19.66.
And Peter David's got a new Genus Bell book actually about to come out soon.
Really?
Yeah, he's got a new miniseries coming out soon. So good primer for it. Somebody should buy that because I'm really impressed by it. I'm just saying. Somebody should buy those Peter David books.
So still available, we have Marvel Contest of Champions #1, signed with cover sketch art of Magneto by Ken Hazer. Suggested retail of $89.99, and it is one of our 5-star for $50 books. We have one available at that price. And
I'm surprised there's one available for $50.
Look at that look Magneto's given. He is looking at someone
so
like,
cool.
You came at me with a samurai sword.
Really? You brought a knife to a superpowers fight? That's a mistake.
all right. So the Wolverine and Venom were claimed by Eli. Let's see. Batman Fortnite was Batman Fortnite 0.1 CGC graded 9.8. Suggested retail of $89.99. It is a best offer book, and Ron is currently in the lead at 25. And then we did Batman Killing Time #1 CGC graded guaranteed 9.8. Suggested retail of $89.99, and it is a best offer book, and Ron is also in the lead on this one at 25.
That's a great Rogues Gallery cover, though. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Who's got the Rogues Gallery, the top Rogues Gallery? It's, with the exception of Spider-Man, it's hard to hit at Batman's level.
Let's see. What is
maybe Dick Tracy?
Adrian wants to know what's the crossbone wearing guy next to Lando. Let's see.
Huh?
Where's Lando?
Is there a Lando Calrissian book up here?
Yes,
is there Star Wars book up
there
here?
is. Yeah. I see which one. Ron's claiming the Magneto. Got it, Ron.
And to mention, the time is 7:30. We originally put that book up at like 6:15. You guys had 75 minutes to pick up this book.
All right.
What's talking about here?
It's the one right next to the Lando.
Oh, okay. This is whatchamacallit. It's Black Terror, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dwayne Zapan already caught it. All right. So, and we'll get to that one next. Let me finish the recap for Eli.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So then we had, let's see, King in Black #3, signed by Ryan Stegman. Suggested retail of $69.99. We have one available for $39.99, limited edition #5 of 30, and it is signed in silver. There you go. Yes, Dwayne Zapan, Black Terror. You are correct. Then we had Venom Legacy #200, #35, signed by Donnie Cates. Suggested retail of $69.99. We have one available for $50, and it is also signed in silver, and it is number 24 of 350. All right, and then we had Guarding the Globe #1, signed in silver by Todd Nauck. Suggested retail of $69.99, and we have one available. Best offer book starting at $19.69. It is number 10 of 20. And then we have Women of Dynamite, Vampirella, Arthur Adams bust, Black and Blood, artist proof edition. Suggested retail of $169.99. It is a best offer statue. And currently Stevie B is in the lead at $35.
That's criminal. That's criminal. That's like you might as well be stealing this thing, man, at 35. Somebody.
Well, that's my point. And
that's what John plans to do.
That's my point, though. When I read the comments, I certainly don't want to sound like I'm, like cross with anybody, but I feel like we haven't made it clear enough to people that, this stuff is out there to be bought. I think people are natural charm. People just think the show is about you, me, and Robbie talking, which honestly we should be getting paid significantly for. But the point is, we're out here offering this stuff. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid to, don't be afraid to bid on it.
Well, I appreciate Ron being as gracious. I mean, he kind of held off for almost an hour.
And that was an hour on a book that's, this statue too. I mean, I certainly hope, I certainly hope the best bid wins it, but don't be afraid.
Wolfenstein has one already, so that's awesome. I hope you like it.
There we go, Adrian.
Criminally.
All right, so Adrian is at 40 on the statue.
It's just a real nice statue, man.
All right, buddy, I got you.
You know what I mean? It's just the artist proofs are kind of like the Betty Page statue I have is in black and white, right? In my mind, Betty's always in black and white because that's sort of the way I think of her. So when I was when I got the statue in black and white, that was perfect. And everyone I know was like, it came out in black and white. I'm like, yeah.
If you hang out every day at the Dynamite offices, you'll know that. All right, so we got to go to our last break. So we're going to go to our last break, and we will be back in a couple minutes for the last half hour.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
And we're back with Rob.
I'm big. Oh, now I'm the only one here. Look, what's going on here? Hey, everybody. Oh,
there we are. All right, so Steve.
There we go.
I thought I was taking over the show.
Over, man.
Thought I was taking over the show. I'm sorry.
All right, so Stevie B's up to 45 on the statue Deadpool book. Which Deadpool book do we have tonight? Do we have a Deadpool book?
I don't see it.
Oh, yes, we do.
Do we?
Deadpool versus X-Force number 4, signed by Dwayne Swarinski. Suggested retail $49.99. We have one available for $19.91.
There you go. I just saw the X-Force logo. That's all I could see. I like that old school X-Force logo, don't y'all?
Yeah, that was really good. The 2 logos I really liked was X-Force and the original X-Factor logo.
Oh, yeah.
When it came out, it was very much a callback to the original. Well, I'm sure it was intentional. It was a callback a little bit to the original X-Men logo.
Yes.
Because they were sort of like the regathering of the original X-Men.
Stevie B goes, people are holding back for the 1 in 100 spam can. That's right. I'm keeping that one.
Just so, yeah, that's not going to be available. That's
all right. So let's see. Oh, John wanted to do the Dynamite books. So let's do those.
Dynamite books. We have 2 books coming out this week that are very cool. The one book is, Rex has pointed out, I whined incessantly in hopes for. Finally, it's out, Fractured States. We've talked about the multiversing of characters. Marvel's doing it, DC's doing it. I understand Image does it to a certain extent, but rumor has it Image sort of has like a multiversal event. They're sort of, kind of throwing together there.
It is Project Superpowers, Fractured States #1, Paula Andrade, Virgin cover. Suggested retail of $50, and we have one available for $40.
That is such a nice cover.
I got a question for you, John, because I've never read any of the Project Superpower stuff. Is this like, could I just jump in and check it out?
Yeah, I think Project Superpowers is one of those things where if you have a base of comics knowledge, you'll figure it out in a page or two.
Okay.
I would absolutely recommend going back and reading some of the stuff, just because it's especially the stuff that Alex Ross did the original covers for. Just really, the original Project Superpowers omnibus that Dynamite has is just super cool. To be honest with you, if I can find mine, I think I have two of them. If I can find mine, I'll try to send you one. Really cool you know what I mean? It's really neat stuff. I mean, the idea here was kind of like public access characters. What am I looking for? The word.
Public domain?
Public domain, thank you. These are public domain characters which had kind of seen better days. Sometimes they even have corny names or whatever. And Alex Ross and then subsequent creators really turned this into something very, very cool. And now, following the trend of multiversing everything, you sort of have a little bit of not quite multiversality, not quite dark future, but Fractured States, I think, takes a slight nod from Altered States, which Dynamite did a few years ago, where you saw familiar characters in unfamiliar settings.
Right.
Okay.
One of my favorite things Dynamite has done, and I think this is almost a little bit of a callback to that.
So, all right. So let's get to the next Dynamite book. So, Dynamite Never Dies, #2, Ultraviolet, Lucio Perillo, Virgin cover.
Dynamite, you have to say it right.
Oh my God. Things were so much quieter when he was on vacation. Suggested retail of $50. We have one available for $40.
It's a great cover.
Kind of ultraviolet type covers.
This cover, this kind of stuff is what got EC Comics in trouble back in the day. And those are some artists that should be on the greatest of all time extended list. Johnny Craig and Al Feldstein, and some great talent out there.
Those are people that were. I still feel, and every once in a while, people claim that they try to do EC again, or they try to do some of this stuff. EC Comics is one of those things where you could do like a 2-hour show just about that. You know what I mean? You can, and I've said before, things like eerie and creepy. Horror magazines we're getting more horror now, I think, probably than we've ever had in comics. But you go back, and eerie and creepy were, these things flew off the shelves in the 70s. I mean, even before the local comic book store, you'd run over to your drugstore or wherever there was your spinner rack.
The Warren stuff. And they did with the Vampirella too, right? They started Vampirella.
It wasn't just Vampirella, to be fair. You had books like Eerie and Creepy. You couldn't wait to get to that stuff because nobody else was doing it. You kind of had to hide it. You know what I mean?
And in the pre-code days, horror comics were everywhere. And it's so crazy. It was like the Wild, Wild West. You got these stories about decapitations and vampires and everything, and kids were just like right there buying them next to Mickey Mouse comics or whatever. And that's, I think, what started the public uproar. You'd have a Mickey Mouse character, Mickey Mouse story, and then you'd have a girl, and they did this cover at least once a year. It's a girl from like the 50s or 60s looking at a guy, I found my dream man, and it turns out the dream man is like a cannibal or something. Yeah. And he's got like bodies in the fridge. Those
and
are the best stories, man.
I mean, those are like these great stories they told.
Frederick
Wortham is spinning in his grave.
Good.
I think every year we deal with that. The medium's different now, but there's always somebody who disagrees with something.
I've heard it said that the comics code and that whole shebang back then, like, set the industry back decades. Like, imagine where we'd be right now if people had the freedom throughout those years to do all kinds of different stories, right?
But that's true on any level.
What Stevie B said. With all the paint spout on his coverage, bring me the head of Bob Ross. It's a happy little decapitation.
All right. So how much time we have left? All right. You know what? Let's get to the last handful of books here.
Oh, real quick. Wednesday, those books come out. Even if you're not interested in these books.
Correct.
Wednesday, New Comic Book Day, those books those are the Dynamite drops this week. Dynamite Never Dies #2, and Project Superpowers Fraction States #1.
All right,
nice.
So
and we got the contest coming up, everybody. So get ready for that too.
That's correct. So let's get through one more book. We have Alien #1, CGC graded, 9.6 guaranteed. Suggested retail of $89.99, and we have one available for $79.
Great cover, right? Oh my goodness, look at that cover. That could be a movie poster. I'd go see it.
It looks like a one sheet. It looks like the 1979 one sheet that you saw.
Yes.
I remember that one sheet went up all over town, and people were like, they took like a step back, like, you didn't know what you were looking at. It was
what's amazing
is no one can hear you scream.
Yeah, what's amazing is that they went from a horror genre to a sci-fi action genre. The second movie, and they were able to successfully do it and cross the audience over. Which is a rare thing. I mean,
but since then they've had their troubles.
Yes.
Since the second one, they've had their troubles.
I think they're sure. I'll tell you right now, though, and I know that Dark Horse people are going to call for my head because Dark Horse for years did amazing work with
Get in line, Dark Horse.
Predator, Alien, Terminator. I don't want to take Predator. I don't want to take anything away from Dark Horse. This initial run that they did of Alien, Marvel, I guess Marvel, Disney, whoever kind of has that now. This initial run, I think it's 6 issues in the first. It's very, very close to the original Alien movie. To me, the first 6 issues of this book is more horror than science fiction. I realize it has a science fictional backdrop. We're on a space station or whatever. But if you read these issues, they are very much trying to get back to the horror DNA of the Alien story. And I got to tell you, I mean, absolutely, this cover is beautiful. Someone should pick this up at a price this low. But even if you don't, when you hit the local comic book store this week, go find the back issues, or I understand some of the first printings of the back issues are hard to find. I think the collection is out. I think there's a first 6 issue collection.
Yeah,
I can't think of the creators right now, and I feel bad.
It's Philip Kennedy Johnson and Salvador Larroca.
Thank you. They just did such a good job.
It's trying to get back to your roots is a tough thing to do. A movie just recently that I watched on streaming, I forgot which one, was Riddick. So you went from Pitch Black to, I forget what that second movie was, but completely different.
Chronicles of Riddick.
What's that?
Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah, it's completely different storyline. And then this last one, this third one, Riddick, has tried to go back to its horror roots. And it's okay.
Sometimes you can't go.
I like the first one. I like the first Pitch Black. I like Pitch Black.
The second one was horribly confusing.
Because they were trying to take a character who was just a cool, like, secondary character. He was a cool villain type character for this movie, right? But it's not a character to build a franchise on. And I think that was a mistake they made, and they just keep trying.
I think they're confusing the strength of the character, Riddick, with the box office power of Vin Diesel. Right, and I think they're reading the wrong message there.
I think people think Vin Diesel is a box office. I think people think Vin Diesel is this big box office draw, and I don't think he is. I think it just so happens that movies about cars with lots of action are the box office draw. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if he's the reason people keep going back to the Fast and
Drift didn't come anywhere close to the other Fast and Furious.
I think he's part of the process, but I don't think, you know what I mean? It's like you have a really nice meal. If I gave you just the glazed carrots, you'd be like, okay, but I can't base it.
I gotta disagree with you guys to a certain extent in that I think that they had something with Riddick, but they had to choose a general direction. And if that was the way they were going to go with the second movie, they should have proceeded with that.
Well, okay, so but at that time, right, with Fast and Furious, for instance, when they were doing Tokyo Drift, Too Fast, Too Furious, they were geared up that Vin Diesel was going to be a star. But today, I don't think people still see Fast and Furious films to see Vin Diesel. I think they go see it for a different reason, because Vin Diesel can't get another action franchise going. Like Bloodshot did not do very well. And you would think if Vin Diesel's a draw, him in a superhero movie that's rated for adults would be a good draw, right?
Bloodshot had
Real
a
quick
lot
though,
of promise.
Kyle and Jay, when you guys get a chance, if you could throw up the link for the submission form, Ron's asking for it. Thank you.
Bloodshot had a lot of promise, and to be honest with you, it didn't even kind of live up to that Valiant fan film that was out there with like Man of War. It came out like 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when Valiant had their brief resurgence. I know they're still out there, but they kind of like 2014 or 2015, they were like Publisher of the Year. They made a big comeback from like the 80s and early 90s. But I just think you're all excited to see Bloodshot if you're a Valiant fan, and then the movie is just there. Nothing. I don't think they understood what people wanted to see with Bloodshot.
All right. So Lars Man's been tied up with work. So Lars Man, I'm going to do a quick recap of the best offer items. All right. Before the clock's down. So here we go. So Batman Fortnite 0.1 CGC graded, guaranteed 9.8. Suggested retail of $89.99. It is the best offer book with Ron in the lead at 25. Then we had Batman Killing Time #1 CGC graded, guaranteed 9.8. Suggested retail of $89.99. Also a best offer book. Ron is currently in the lead at 25. Then we had Guarding the Globe #1, signed in silver by Todd Nauck. Suggested retail of $69.99. A best offer book starting at $19.69. Then we had the Women of Dynamite, Vampirella, Arthur Adams Bust, Black and Blood, Artist Proof Edition. Suggested retail of $169.99. Currently, Stevie B is in the lead at 45. So those are all the best offer items of the night, Lars Man. And then, you know what? After, we'll get to the last couple of books to close up the show. So we had Star Wars Lando #1, signed by Charles Soule. Suggested retail of $49.99. We have one available for $19.80. It is limited edition number 4 out of 17. All right, so we have one available tonight. And we'll get it up there in a second for you. But, you know, my thing about Vin Diesel is I think part of the problem is that he's unlike Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. All right.
Oh, why you gotta bring up The Rock?
I have to bring up The Rock. I have to.
Vin Diesel got shoved out of this franchise by The Rock. Then they give The Rock his own franchise.
Hold on, I gotta get Lars Man now. Now I'll answer your question.
I hate to say it, but in that franchise, Vin Diesel is like the Wish.com of Dwayne Johnson.
All right, gotcha, Lars Man. So for me, the problem is that I think Dwayne Johnson's got more range. He can play a different type of personality, where Vin is always just that same guy.
See, if you're a pro wrestling fan, all I ever see is The Rock. That's all I ever see is The Rock.
Don't. I see
the different roles. His family, if he's fighting Giant Gorilla, I always just see The Rock.
I don't, and I feel like the Vin Diesel's characters are always more or less same dude, same attitude, Mr. Tough Guy. Put him in a different situation.
Haven't you seen the one where he's like the Secret Service babysitter? He has range. He's slender and funny.
The pacifier.
The pacifier. It's a real movie. Look at
Lars.
Yeah, it is.
Slap the Rock, not Chris Rock.
Yeah, Dwayne Zapane brings it up. In all seriousness, Vin Diesel is both Groot and Iron Giant.
It's great though.
Groot. Yeah, I'm sure he was spending a whole lot of time working on
There's a lot of emotion in his delivery.
Is 40 on both of the slab Batmans. Gotcha, Ron.
He's really good in a movie, and it's at the beginning of his career where it's really working for me, right? There's something about him, but he's really good in this film called The Boiler Room. It's kind of like a early 2000s, late 90s Wall Street
it's like
in a way.
On Glenn Ross, I think.
All right. Where Rupenstein, I got you, buddy.
I think he was also in something called Knockaround Guys, which was good. They were like the idiot sons of mobsters, and they somehow stumbled into a super dangerous situation. There's a bag of money, and it's like a whole thing. But he was also in a promo video for the Street Sharks toy line. And he has hair in that video. So look that up on YouTube. It's great. It's really good. Oh my God.
So, you know what? I did want to mention tonight's show. Hopefully, I forget
You saw
who it
World
was.
Clean List and then destroy, right?
Triple X, I've seen that too. Yes, I did.
Oh, that's great. I almost forgot about that. Xander Kane.
Yeah, I enjoyed that movie. It was still Vin Diesel, but whatever. He was in Russia.
Do you not
So-
like Vin Diesel?
No, I love Vin Diesel actually.
Okay.
You know, but I just feel like he's got this one-dimensional character that he plays, and just put him in a car, put him in Russia, put him on a distant planet with creepy crawly things. And
Was there no emotional resonance in Bloodshot for you?
Not really, no.
Not with him either.
So I wanted to thank, we were talking about movies last week that I wanted to stream, and somebody turned me on to DMZ, which I then went ahead and watched right after Moon Knight because I felt like a little wanting, like after Moon Knight. So I decided to watch DMZ. I think it was on HBO Max. It was phenomenal based off the DC Vertigo title. It was a tremendous mini-series, 4 episodes.
Oh, DMZ?
Yes.
I'm so glad you liked it, Rex.
Oh, so it was you, Kyle. All right.
Yeah.
I
read DMZ.
loved it. I never read the comics, but Rosario Dawson, Benjamin Bratt, and it was well done in that I've read that they're talking about there's not going to be any sequel or any additional episodes, but whether it is or not, they closed off the 4-episode arc, leaving it open for more if they so choose. And I really enjoyed it,
Did
man.
you read DMZ the comic?
No, I haven't. So that was the only
That went on for a while, and I heard that I've never read the book, but I do like Brian Wood's stuff, but I heard that the show was vastly different.
It was.
Different. For me, that was a problem. But
I really let me see. There is one book left, Dwayne Zapane, and we're going to throw that up right now. So it's Uncanny X-Men number 266. facsimile
CBB
edition.
case ready. 10 minutes to Ben Franklin.
Elite Gold Signature Series edition signed by Andy Kubert. So when we talk about
The
royalty,
90s live, man.
yeah.
Hey, look at
definitely
that
we'll talk about studios.
costume. I know they've refined it, but what were they thinking, man?
So
Oof.
suggested retail of 100, and we have one available tonight for 75.
1984 was an odd time, man.
So it's signed in gold and limited edition number 5 out of 25. So it's signed by Andy Kubert, as we talk about royalty and stuff.
And I think that
In
Boiler
comics.
Room movie had Ben Affleck, didn't it?
I don't know. I don't think I've seen that movie.
Look in the corner box up there. Gambit actually looks cooler because he's got the black pants on. Even on
Yes.
this cover, he looks different. Like, it's so weird that the initial cover image of him with the tiger stripes and the hot pink, it's just so weird, man.
We're in an era where, if you remember, they even managed to ruin Magneto. There's a lot of sins that the 90s has to pay for, and one of which is they ruined Magneto. You look at Magneto, and he's got some weird, like, blowout hair, and he is wearing, there's no other name for it. It is white go-go boots and magenta. That's the clothes. That's what he's wearing.
The with the big M on it.
Yeah.
That's 80s, man. Don't blame that on the 90s. Come on, man. That's
Don't blame that on the 90s.
You can blame
figure
this
drawing,
on
what's
the
going
90s.
man?
Don't forget, Rex, we got the contest.
Oh, yes. I almost did forget. Okay, so for tonight's contest,
Give stuff to everybody.
the winner will be will receive the Red Sonja 45th anniversary trading card set promo card.
Here, you want me to hold that up?
Do you mind? Thank you.
Do you have one that we can offer them? Because I'm keeping this one.
No, you're not.
I've won the contest. No.
Let's see. Let me see. Brandon, I'm assuming you're talking about Uncanny X-Men number 266. It's not much I can do, only because it's one of the Kuberts. Hey, Brandon, thanks for joining us.
Hopefully you guys were able to get.
If
like, a
Nick
little
is
bit
watching, he may come in here and slash your price, but I can't guarantee anything, buddy. So all right, so that is the prize. And Robbie, if you would spin Robbie's wheel of ridiculousness.
randomizer.
Spinning the wheel from Friday's video where we talked about our favorite artists. It's spinning. Oh, check this out. The comment gives us the top 10. It's John Toddleben, Paul Galassi, Andy Kubert. That's funny. Jim Lee, George Perez, Neil Adams, Jim Steranko, Wally Wood, Gil Kane, Jack Kirby. And the comment was provided by William Jackson. So that is the winner, William Jackson.
Hollywood. That's
Jackson.
again someone we did not get to at all.
And look, now we're in the 1 minute countdown. Perfect.
All right.
What is the overall price on the signed Gambit again?
The Gambit, Uncanny X-Men number 266 facsimile edition, signed by Andy Kubert, is $75.
75. There you go.
It's just a retail of 100. It is limited edition number 5 of 25.
Once again, that's good because it's before his hand gets tired of doing that signature.
Yes.
He's warmed up. He's in it.
So, Jay, no problem, buddy. Thanks for helping us out tonight. We appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah, Jay, we got to be honest with you. It only gets worse from here, though. I mean, Kyle probably is going to tell you that. But
we want to thank you for the patience with us. That's what we.
There's been a lot less spam talk than normal.
Oh, don't worry. We're getting back to that.
I just bought a can the other day, so got to have a can at all times.
I am out, actually. I ate my last can of Spam.
While I was on vacation, I got a can, and I didn't take photos because I was just trying to unplug for a little bit, but I made Spam Loco Moco.
Oh, what's that?
Loco Moco is a Hawaiian dish where it's rice.
It should
gravy,
be a burger patty.
It should be a burger patty.
An egg.
And what I did was I did
It's one of my favorites, by the way.
I griddled, I cut the slices wide. So basically I got just 2 big wide thick slices and I griddled them like a burger. And then they sat them on the rice. It was like, you know how Loco Moco tends to be round?
Yes.
I did it in a square thing. So it was very square.
So in Hawaii,
yes, figure drawing, even the less salty Spam, low sodium Spam is spike high sodium for anything else.
Yes. I mean, at this point, you accept what you're eating.
Yeah.
That's the kind I buy, though, is the low sodium. Because I'm like, if I'm going to eat Spam, at least it is still super high in sodium. Just drink a gallon of water, you're fine.
1,000% of your daily allowance, you're getting 999.
Drink a lot of water, you're fine, right? That's what they tell me that's what the bros tell me on YouTube, so it's okay.
John, you saw the picture I posted on Facebook yesterday, right? The sandwiches.
Yeah.
I had to clean out the leftovers in the refrigerator. So I'm like, what can I do with an air fryer, garlic butter, bread, and this random pile of meat? And I made what turned out to be a really good sandwich that didn't include any Spam.
Wow. That's what I did today. I threw it up on Instagram. I just was clearing out stuff because we were away. And I'm looking at what's in there, what the dogs that are left or whatever. And I did a hash we had like potatoes and like peppers from our garden, which had been canned and taken out. We're trying to use all that stuff up for the new season.
How's the hash a go in this neighborhood?
It was better before the pandemic. They're trying.
Okay.
They're trying to get back. Their thing is, if you want chicken and waffles, it's very good. They're one of the top 2-3 chicken and waffle places in the country, but they're having some problems with the other stuff. And yeah, good Spam fried rice. To a certain extent, the Spam Loco Moco was almost like deconstructed because I did like a little pepper and onion relish off to the side to break up the kind of spamminess. Another dish I always use to clean out a fridge, and I'm sure Kyle has a version of this too. I call it scambalaya. I grab some rice and whatever's left. Scambalaya. It goes in a pot and it gets cooked. Food's expensive, man.
You
don't want to waste it. I mean, not to preach, but people dropping $100 a week per person on groceries or more. People like Kyle barbecue, they're probably dropping like $1,000 a month on just the competition.
Stevie B, you do have the best offer on the statue, so I'm going to add you for a 10-pack, my friend.
Thanks for joining us, Ronald.
Nice.
Thanks, Ronald. All right, so for everybody watching, once again, thank you for taking the time out to watch our show.
Yes,
I will be on AR Comics YouTube channel, his show at 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And then he will be with us, Comic Collectables on Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Nick will be back on Friday with Original Art Fridays from 7 to 8 Eastern. And I will be with Robbie on his show on Pop Culture Philosophers. Be sure to check it out on Friday evening. And just so everybody understands how the contest works. So if you put anything in the drawing or in the chats this evening, then you are automatically entered for the drawing for a free prize on Robbie's show on Friday. So tune in then to see if you won. And then if you put anything on the chats there during his show, then we will do the drawing here on our show on Monday nights. That's how we do it. So thanks for everybody taking the time out to join us. We appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Robbie. Thanks, Kyle and Jay.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you, Robbie, as always. Can't wait to be a little clear about our topic for Friday. You know,
I'll try.
You know, don't tell me
The top 750
your top
comic
5
books.
and then show up with a gajillion on your page. You know, that's not like really cool.
Lazy
but
I had
rabbit.
backups, man. I had backups. Don't be mad because I was prepared.
Here's a staff. You did not understand the assignment,
Thank you, and Kyle and Jay. I hope your first day went well. Stay tuned. Mishmash is on right after the show, and we'll see everybody next show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.